Good morning. Welcome to Sunday morning yoga. We're going to do gentle yoga, and I'm Micki. Let's actually start out in a restorative pose. So, if you have a blanket, you can roll the blanket up into a roll to lie on top of. And so, I'm just going to take the blanket like this and do a little roll, and then you can lay with your um, back, basically your bra line or the bottom of your shoulder blades on the roll. If you don't have a blanket, you can also roll up the edge of your mat. So it would be the back edge of your mat. And the way I would do that is just fold it under and then make a pretty tight roll with it. And that will just be a nice heart opener. So go ahead and find yourself in any comfortable position. You can either keep your knees bent and you would allow your arms to cactus over the roll. Maybe you allow the knees to tent together and walk the feet as wide as the mat. Perhaps it feels good to just stretch the legs long, or another alternative would be to bring the soles of the feet together and open the knees up wide. So just find whatever comfortable position you can come to rest in. And if you prefer to just sit up in Sukhasana or a cross-legged seat, that's fine too. This month, I'm theming our classes around this book called The Yamas and the Niyamas, Exploring Yoga's Ethical Practice by Deborah Adele. And so today, we're still talking this month about Ahimsa. And Ahimsa means nonviolence. There's a quote that she has in the beginning of the chapter that says, "Storms rage about me. I calm my heart and send out ribbons of peace, peace." And that quote is by CL. I'm not sure who that is. So today I wanted to focus a little bit on balance. So I just wanted to read a few quotes from the book. So courage demands our best self, and that is a self in balance. Balance creates harmony within us, and harmony within naturally expresses itself in external actions that are harmonious. Balance does not need to look a certain way because it isn't a set standard to impose upon ourselves. It's not something we can plan or schedule. Balance instead comes from listening to the guidance and wisdom of the inner voice. Balance will look different in each of us, and even different in each of us at different times. To be in tune with ourselves, we must get quiet and listen, and then heed this inner voice. This voice does not push or bombard or make promises. This inner wisdom simply knows what we need to be vital, healthy, and in deep harmony. So spreading ourselves too thin, and this is exactly what I am guilty of doing, can look impressive, but in the end, we are the ones that will lose. The health and well-being of our bodies, our minds, and our spirit is a powerful resource, and by keeping ourselves in balance, we can stride through life with greater competence and ease. We are primed to win as we meet life from an inner place of harmony. When we are in balance, we automatically live in nonviolence. So this week, we just want to think about our balance, and we don't want to find it from a place in our head of what it should look like. So even thinking about what other people look like, even in a yoga posture. Instead, we want to find guidance from the messages inside our body. In this moment, what do we need? Do we need more sleep, more exercise? Do we need to eat differently? What do we need to have variety in our life? So let's act on the messages of our body and explore what balance looks like for us this week. Notice what effects it has on your life and on others. So we'll work on some balancing poses today. And what I like to remind myself, especially in a pose like dancer's pose, which we might explore later on today, is that balance is not a fixed place. And when I first started on my yoga teacher journey, I was journaling a lot about my own feelings of a need for balance in my life, a balance of work, with family, with alone time, relaxation. So that's why I kind of really felt called to that mantra of balancing effort and ease. If there is something that you feel like internally is sort of calling your attention today, so you might think about that as an intention and maybe create a mantra for yourself. I am finding balance. That could be a nice mantra. Or what is it that you would like to cultivate in your own practice? So, from this place of lying on your back, we'll go ahead and roll onto one side or roll up, press yourself up into a seat, and you can move the roll off to the side. So, if you have that blanket, you can move it off to the side. If you have your mat rolled up, you'll want to just unroll it. And then let's come right back onto our backs and just start to notice any sensations in the body. You might come back to constructive rest pose with the knees tenting in together and the feet as wide as the mat. And then just start to send your breath into any areas of tension or holding. And then with your arms out wide to the side and your feet as wide as the mat, you can allow the knees to fall over to the left side of the mat. Maybe you send your gaze over to the right, and then bringing the gaze and the knees back up to center. Go ahead and exhale. Allow the knees to tent over to the right, and maybe the gaze falls over to the left. Go ahead and take a few rounds of breath here. Windshield wipering the knees from side to side, maybe alternating the gaze side to side. You can inhale as the knees fall over to one side, and exhale as you bring them back to center. Go ahead and take one more round on each side. Breathing into the sensations in any areas of the body that need or asking for special attention. And then we'll come back to center with the knees pointing up towards the sky. You can walk the heels in towards the sit bones. And then let's bring the hands down next to the hips. With your next inhale, go ahead and float the arms up overhead, reaching them past the ears. And with the next exhale, you can float the arms down next to the hips. Planting the palms, we'll inhale to lift the hips into bridge. And exhale to release the spine back down, one vertebrae at a time. Let's inhale, floating the arms up overhead. And exhale to float them down next to the hips. Inhale to lift the hips. And exhale to roll the spine back down. Go ahead and take 3 more rounds just like this, following the pace of your own breath. Once you complete your last round, we'll meet back on our backs. You can hug the knees into your chest, maybe rock a little bit from side to side. Now go ahead and come back to stillness, bringing the hands onto the knees. We'll start to open the knees out to the side and then circle them down and around and back through center. Go ahead and take a few rounds of circling in this direction. And then when you're ready, you can reverse the direction of your circle. We'll come back to center. You can leave your knees up with your shins parallel to the sky, and then interlace your hands behind your head. You might take a moment with your thumbs to just massage the low parts of the neck, maybe where the skull meets the neck. Call that the occipital ridge. And taking some deep breaths, drawing the belly towards the spine, activating the strength of the core. And when you're ready, you can lift your nose up towards the sky, lifting the head. And then you might just stay right here with the elbows open wide, or with the next exhale, go ahead and stretch your right leg long to hover and bring your right elbow towards your left knee. Inhale back to center and exhale, alternate the opposite side, kicking the left leg long, bringing the left elbow towards the right knee. Inhale back to center and exhale to alternate. So you can take a few rounds at your own pace. Pressing the low back towards the mat and drawing the belly in towards the spine. Go ahead and take one more round on each side. And then we'll relax that effort, dropping the feet to the mat, releasing the hands down to your sides. And then with your next exhale, let's shift the hips over to the left. Allow the knees to stack over to the right. And you're in a twist. So you can bring the arms out wide to the side. You can stay and enjoy the twist, or if you'd like to do a little more oblique work on this side, you can interlace the hands behind your head to cradle your head, opening the elbows up wide to the side, and then inhale and exhale to just pulse the nose up towards the sky. Following the pace of your own breath and what feels good in your body. Whenever you're ready, you can release that and just enjoy the twist. Maybe send the gaze over towards the left fingers. And if you'd like to deepen the twist, you could extend the right leg long. Either bring that blanket or a block underneath the left knee. We'll take one more nice deep breath in this twist. And then you can roll onto the back. This time we'll shift the hips over to the right and allow the knees to fall over to the left. Coming into a twist, maybe sending the gaze over towards the right fingertips. And if you'd like to do that same oblique work on this side, you can interlace your hands behind your head and either just enjoy the twist or maybe slowly pulse the nose up towards the sky. Using the strength of your core muscles, sides of the ribs. Noticing where you feel sensation. Go ahead and take one more round if you're doing those pulses. And then whenever you're ready, you can relax into the twist, extending the arms to your sides, sending the gaze over towards the right fingertips, either leaving the knees stacked or maybe you slide the left leg long and allow the right knee to either come down towards the ground, or you can find a block or maybe a blanket or pillow to stack your right knee onto. And take a few nice deep breaths in the twist. And when you're ready, we'll come back to center. You can walk your heels in towards your sit bones. Just take a moment to sink into the ground, elongating the spine. On your next exhale, you can draw the knees into the chest and maybe wrap your hands behind the back of your thighs or the front of your shins. And we'll take a moment to rock and roll, massaging the spine. Whenever you're ready, you can rock up to a seat. And from here, let's inhale to reach the arms up overhead, looking up. And exhale, go ahead and sweep the right hand down to the ground. Reach the left fingertips up and over. You might lift your gaze. On the next exhale, let's reach the left fingertips out in front towards the right. And then inhale, reach them back up overhead. Exhale, or just sweeping the left hand down in front. Inhale, open it back up overhead. And one more time like this. Exhale to reach across towards the right, out in front. And then inhale the arm back up overhead. Let's inhale to come back up to center. And exhale, sweep the left hand down, right arm up overhead. And on your next exhale, you can reach the right fingertips over towards the left, out in front. Inhale, sweep the arm back up overhead. And two more times like this. Exhale to reach. Inhale, up overhead. And exhale, reach it out in front. And inhale to bring the arm back up. On the next inhale, we'll rise to center. Exhale, interlace the palms, press the palms up overhead. And then exhale to allow the hands to fall down in front. You might take your time, really slowly Noticing any sensations in the shoulders, throughout the neck. And once you arrive in center on your next exhale, allow your right ear to fall towards your right shoulder. You might inhale and exhale to nod the head yes, inviting in new opportunities. And then go ahead and on your next exhale, start to shake the head no, releasing that which does not serve you. We'll come back to stillness, and then on your next exhale, allow your chin to trace the front of your chest. And then you can allow your left ear to come towards your left shoulder. Finding length through your spine. You might grab hold of your knees with your hands. And just really allow length through the side of the right neck. Let's once more shake our head yes, gently nodding up and down. And then shake your head no. Without being too forceful, just allowing for gentle sensation. And then when you're ready, you can exhale to allow the chin to trace the front of the chest once more, over to the right. Exhale to trace the front of the chest with your chin, over to the left. And then tracing the chest with the chin back to center. Allow your head to hang heavy, bowing towards your heart. And then we'll inhale, bringing the crown of the head back up towards the sky. When you're ready, let's roll over the front of the shins, or you can turn the feet around to come into a tabletop position. If you're having any wrist pain here, you can come onto the forearms, or you might have blocks and you can bring the forearms onto blocks. I'm missing a block, there it is. You can also do this on your fists or even seated. So we're going to take a few rounds of cat and cow, whichever position feels right to you. So for cow pose, go ahead and inhale, drop the belly, reach the heart through the forearms. And then on the next exhale, you can round the spine, drawing the belly towards the spine for cat pose. Go ahead and inhale for cow and exhale for cat. Take a few more rounds at the pace of your own breath. And whichever position works for you, maybe on your forearms, or on your fists, or on blocks. Now you might begin to explore any movements that are calling to you in your body. Maybe you start to draw a circle with the belly button. Imagining you're tracing the inside of a hula hoop with your belly button. Taking it at your own pace. Just noticing and exploring with compassion and curiosity any areas of the body that need special attention. You might find an interesting place that you want to hold for one breath. When you're ready, go ahead and reverse the direction of that circle. We'll take one more nice deep breath in this direction. And then coming back to a neutral spine, you can bend the right shoulder towards the right hip and look behind at your hip. Inhale to come back to center and exhale to wag the tail over to the left, bending the left shoulder towards the left hip. And go ahead and take one more round on each side. And then let's come on to the forearms now. Once you come back to center, and you can interlace the hands and extend the left foot behind you, tucking the toes under, pressing the heel towards the mat, allowing the breath to cascade down the back of the leg, stretching through the calf. From here, we're going to come into a modified side plank. So there can be a lot of different variations of this. What I like to do is kickstand my right foot out to the side and then extend the left leg long with the foot on the mat. You can either stay on the forearm or come onto the palm and then lift the left fingertips up towards the sky. You might reach the left fingertips out in front, bringing the arm towards the ear. And then with your next inhale, we're going to use the strength of our core to come up through center for gate pose. So stretching that left hand down the left leg, not putting pressure on it, just allowing the hand to glide down the leg, and then reaching the right fingertips up overhead. On your next exhale, go ahead and float over for a side plank. You might use your fist here if there's issues with the wrist. Maybe you float the left leg up into a baby half moon. Take a nice deep breath here. And then on your next exhale, you can plant the foot. Use the strength of your core to lift up through center for gate pose. Exhale, float it over for either side plank or baby half moon. Take a nice deep breath here, and on the next exhale, we'll float through center one more time for gate. And exhale, floating it over for baby half moon or a side plank. If you'd like to try a bind in this position, you might bend the left knee, maybe reach with the left hand to grasp hold of the ankle. Kicking the foot into the hand, stretching through the quad. With your next exhale, we'll release the bind, bringing the left foot back down to the mat. You can circle the left hand back down, and then we'll rest in child's pose. And I forgot to mention, you might pad underneath the knees with a blanket. So go ahead and sink the hips back, bringing the big toes to touch. You can walk the hands out in front and lower the forehead down to the mat. Take a nice deep breath in your child's pose. If you feel that you have excess tension in the jaw, or heat in the body you'd like to release, you could maybe stick out the tongue and exhale through the mouth for lion's breath. In your child's pose. Whenever you're ready, let's walk it back up to hands and knees. And as I mentioned before, if you're feeling like this is a lot on your knees, you can always take the blanket and pad your knees. So sorry, I forgot to mention that earlier. And then we'll come onto our forearms here, and this time you can extend the right foot back, tucking the toes under, pressing the heel towards the mat, finding length through the back of the leg. Taking a few nice deep breaths, allowing the breath to cascade down the side and back of the leg. Maybe you feel sensation in the calf. And then we'll get ready for that same flow on the other side. So you might just kickstand your left foot out to the side, pivoting on the knee. And then you can extend the right foot back and maybe reach the right fingers up overhead for a modified side plank. And again here, if this is a lot on the wrist, you might come onto the forearm or the fist. Maybe you gaze up at your top hand. And whenever you're ready, use the strength of your core to glide through center. Extend the right hand down the right leg. Reach the left fingertips overhead for gate pose. On your next inhale, we'll come back to center, plant the palm, and either explore side plank or a baby half moon. Kicking the right foot behind you, extending the right fingertips up towards the sky. And we'll just do 2 more rounds like this, inhaling to come back into gate. Exhaling to float over to side plank or baby half moon. Inhaling one more time for gate. And exhaling, floating it over for your baby half moon. If you'd like to try the bind on this side, you might bend the knee and reach the top hand down to grab hold of the ankle or the foot. And with your next exhale, go ahead and release the bind. And we'll swing that right hand back up overhead. And you can either take a child's pose or a downward facing dog, lifting the hips, lifting the knees. And if you're in down dog, you might pedal the heels towards the mat, sashaying the hips a little side to side. And from wherever you're at, let's meet up in a forward fold. So you can either walk your hands to your feet or your feet towards your hands. And if you're in child's pose, just go ahead and come on up to a forward fold. Allow your head and neck to dangle heavy. You might wrap your arms around your elbows. Allow yourself to gently ragdoll from side to side. On the next exhale, you can release your hands. Bring your hands to your shins. Pressing into your shins, we'll inhale for halfway lift. And exhale to forward fold. On the next inhale, go ahead and bend the knees generously and allow yourself to roll up one vertebrae at a time. And then inhale, reach the arms up overhead. And exhale to draw the hands to the heart center. From here, I'm at the back of my mat. You might be at the front of your mat. If you're at the back of your mat, you can step the right foot forward into a lunge. We're going to come into warrior one. So with the right foot forward and the left foot back, the heel is down and the back foot is at 45 degrees. Let's have the hips facing forward. And then you can inhale to reach the arms up overhead. Allow the shoulders to melt away from the ears, and you might lift the gaze. On your next exhale, we'll bring the torso forward and float the arms back. Inhale, rise to warrior one. Exhale, hinge from the hips and float the arms back. And then we'll inhale to rise through center, coming back into warrior one. And exhale to float the arms down behind you. You can interlace the hands, grasp hold of the edge of your shirt, or if you have a strap or something like a strap handy, you could always hold onto a strap. And we'll extend the arms back. With your next exhale, go ahead and hinge from the hips and allow the torso to rest on the front thigh. With your next exhale, we'll come out of humble warrior by lowering the arms down and lifting the chest. You can release the strap. If you used a strap for that side, straighten the front knee, and then we'll step up to standing mountain pose. Take a nice deep breath here. You might relax the eyes or soften the gaze. Allow the shoulders to melt away from the ears. Engaging with the legs by lifting the kneecaps subtly. Maybe tucking the tailbone down a little to engage with the core. Allow yourself to soften into the strong mountain pose. With your next inhale, we'll reach the arms up overhead. Exhale to swan dive forward. Inhale for halfway lift. And exhale to forward fold. On your next inhale, go ahead and bend the knees. And rise up to stand. Exhale, draw the hands to the heart center. We're going to get ready for warrior one on the second side. So you can, this time I'm at the front of my mat, so I'm going to step my right foot back and bend into the left knee, squaring the hips towards the front of the mat. And then when you're ready, inhale to float the arms up overhead for warrior one. With your next exhale, you might fly the hands back, bringing the torso to hover. Inhale, back to warrior one. Exhale, float it forward, and fly the hands back. Inhale, reach the arms up overhead, warrior one. And then with the next exhale, you can bring the hands to interlace at the low back. Maybe if they don't quite reach, you can tug onto the back of your shirt or reach for that strap. And then with your next exhale, we're going to lead with the heart, hinging at the hips, melting the torso down onto the thigh. You can humble the gaze, maybe allow the arms to float overhead if that feels okay for the shoulders. Where can you soften, balancing your effort with your ease? And with the next inhale, we'll come back up to standing. Reach the arms back up for warrior one. And then exhale, you can float the hands down to the hips. And we'll step the back foot in to meet the front in standing mountain pose. Take a nice deep breath here. And then with your next inhale, we'll float the arms up overhead. Exhale, swan dive forward. Inhale for halfway lift. Exhale to forward fold. And then on your next inhale, you can float the arms up overhead. And exhale, the hands to the heart center. We're going to get ready for a standing balancing pose since our theme today is balance. And so we're going to try exploring dancer pose. So there can be a lot of different variations of this, and you might even know this as like a quad stretch. So let's go ahead and bring our weight into our left leg, and you can bend your right knee and then sweep your right hand out. Let's bring our left hand to our hip. Sweep your right hand out as if you're serving a platter. And then you might try kicking the right foot into the right hand. You can stay right here, maybe finding a drishti, a point off the tip of the nose to gaze for. Or you might start to hinge forward, maybe lifting your left hand up. And then like a tea kettle, you can hinge forward and back, kicking the foot into the hand for dancer pose. And just notice all the subtle variations, muscles that have to come on board to help stabilize you. It's not a fixed place, but a dance. Whenever you're ready, you can release that side, step the feet wide, and just shake it off. Relaxing all of your effort, and letting it go into the past. Forgot to mention, you can always do this with the support of a wall or maybe a chair. So maybe if you feel that it's a little unsteady, you'd like to ask for a little support, just find some resources around you. So for this side, we're going to bring our weight into our right leg, kick your left leg into your left hand. I forgot to mention, you can swivel that hand out to the side, kick the left foot into the left hand, and you might just stay here. Maybe if you're using a wall, you kind of bring your hand away from the wall or the chair. Explore balance. Sometimes can be easier on a hard surface as opposed to your mat. And if you'd like to, you could extend your right arm up towards the sky and then maybe hinge from the hips, kicking the foot back, reaching the right arm forward. Taking some nice deep breaths, remembering to use your breath as a resource. And whenever you're ready, you can release the foot, walk the feet as wide as the mat, and go ahead and shake it off. And we'll come back to center. And let's inhale to reach the arms up overhead. Exhale to swan dive forward, leading with the heart. Inhale for halfway lift. And exhale to forward fold. You can plant the palms and walk the feet back, coming into a downward facing dog. We're going to be making our way into pigeon from here. So a couple of different ways. You can stay in down dog or you're in a tabletop. You might kick your right foot up towards the sky for three-legged dog. And then exhale, bring the knee in towards the nose. And then plant the knee right next to the right palm. And then begin to slide the left leg back. It can be nice if you have blocks here to maybe lift up onto blocks, stretching through the front of the left hip. And whenever you're ready, you can allow yourself to forward fold. Maybe bring a block or a pillow underneath the forehead. You could stack the fists to make a little pillow to rest your third eye. And if this pose doesn't work for you on your front side, you could slide around onto your back for figure four, bringing your right ankle on top of your left thigh, and maybe using a strap here around the left thigh to draw the shape into the body. So you might feel a nice sensation and stretch through the outer right hip. Take some nice deep breaths. Noticing where you can soften your effort and allow for greater ease. Is there tension or holding in the jaw or in the temples? Can you relax your shoulders? From here, you can gently melt onto your left hip, and you'll have your legs stacked in a pinwheel shape, a mermaid seat. And we'll inhale our arms up overhead and exhale to twist to the right. Planting your right hand behind you, sending your gaze past your right shoulder. Maybe using your left hand as leverage against your right knee. With your next inhale, go ahead and grow your spine a little taller. And exhale, allow yourself to twist maybe ever so slightly deeper to the right. With your next inhale, we'll come back to center, and then you can roll forward either onto hands and knees, or maybe downward facing dog, tucking the toes under, lifting the hips up and back. And this time we'll plant the right foot, kick the left heel up towards the sky for three-legged dog. Exhale, bend the knee, draw the knee in towards the chest. And then you can plant the left knee next to the left palm, stretch the right leg back, and you're in pigeon. You might come in onto blocks to stretch through the front side of the right hip. And then whenever you're ready, allowing yourself to melt forward. Maybe stacking the fists to create a nice little pillow to rest your forehead. And if this pose doesn't work for you, another nice variation can be figure 4 on your back. So coming to lie on your back, crossing the left ankle over the right thigh, and then maybe drawing the shape into the chest. Either interlacing the hands behind the right thigh, or if you'd like to create more space, using a strap or a towel. In whichever shape you land in, just take a moment to send breath to the outside of the left hip, the glutes, sending along with that gratitude. Maybe just noticing any subtle variations from left to right. Are there places in the body that are overworking, that can soften? And we'll take one more nice deep breath there. And when you're ready, you can roll onto your left hip. We'll have our feet in a pinwheel shape if that feels comfortable on the hips. Go ahead and inhale to reach the arms up overhead, and exhale, rotate over to the left, planting the left hand behind you or on a block, lengthening the spine. And on your exhale, you might turn your gaze past your left shoulder. Go ahead and take one more nice deep breath in your twist, and then we'll come back to center, and you can lean back on your palms and bring your knees so they're parallel and your feet are parallel. And then you might reach your arms up for a modified boat pose. Here you can even bring your hands behind your thighs, and you might lift your shins to parallel, engaging with the core. Whenever you're ready, you can lower your feet back down, and then reaching your arms long, let's go ahead and roll onto the back. You might draw the knees into the chest, curl the nose towards the knees, rolling into a little ball. And then with your next exhale, let's find our final resting pose, Shavasana, corpse pose. Allow the feet to fall out to the sides. Maybe you find some coziness with a blanket, or take that blanket roll you had before or a pillow to rest underneath the knees. Do you have a sweatshirt or some article of clothing you can rest over the eyes? Just allow yourself to soften here. Feel the strength of the ground rising to meet you, supporting you. You can have a sense of gratitude for the strong, healthy body that brought you here today. Compassion for injuries that are healing. Having a sense that all of your needs are being met. And all of your dreams are coming true. I encourage you to stay in this final resting pose, Shavasana, for as long as you'd like. You are your very own best teacher. If you feel that you're ready to reawaken the body, you might start to invite gentle movements into your fingers and toes, gently rotating the wrists and the ankles. With your next inhale, maybe you grow longer, reaching the arms up overhead for a good morning stretch. And then exhale to roll onto one side, maybe walking the knees in, finding a fetal position, cradling the head on the bicep. Taking a few rounds of breath in your fetal position. And then whenever you're ready, you can press yourself up into a seat. You might invite your hands to meet at your heart center. Allow your head to humbly bow towards the wisdom of your loving heart. Thanks everyone for joining me for your practice this morning. Namaste. Please let me know if you have any thoughts or questions about class.